Hey guys, today we're going to take a look at a couple things in our site. So I want to do a little bit with security, some back-end stuff, the mobile preview, setting up forms, just to really kind of now that some content's on our site, getting some of that back-end stuff taken care of. So first thing I'm going to do is jump into the background on my site. I was able to get all my content kind of plugged in. So I'm happy with how my site's looking. Most of my content's there. I pulled it open on my phone and I noticed that I had some kind of funkiness on some of the pages. So I want to kind of walk you guys through what it's going to look like in terms of cleaning up that part of it. I'm going to start by just jumping into my dashboard on my site. First thing I did is I went into Malcare. So that was one of the ones that we installed. I clicked on the link and hit setup. All you do is give it your email address. It takes you in here and then it starts doing an analysis of your website. So it'll kind of tell you from a security standpoint, all that stuff. If everything's looking good, it runs through this. It takes a while, but basically what it does is it just more or less secures your site. So that was kind of an easy one. It'll generate reports, and then if there's any issues or security threats, it actually just shoots an email to you saying, hey, you might want to update this plugin, whatever. So real simple stuff, but I just wanted to kind of quick show you that one. I got that one started. I also want to check my broken link checker. So if I click on link checker, that was one of them that I wanted to do. I want to make sure that that's configured. So I'm going to do my local version, not the cloud. And looks like everything looks good. And it looks like they might have pushed this onto a new one. So and again, these things kind of constantly change. Let me do this connect button. Generally what happens is you create a free account and then it just sends you an email to whatever that email address is. So I'm just going to send this to my related email account for this. And I can create a password. And I just kind of use the same password for all these accounts just so that I'm good on all that. But it generally just sets up an account with this, and I'll proceed. That's fine. And now because they have my email address, they generally just send you to, let's see here, is it proceeding? There we go. So it should connect this, and then if there's any broken links on the site, it just automatically sends it. So it's really nice, just a simple tool, really easy to set up. The other one I want to set up here too as well is this Updraft Plus. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a Google associated email address with this email that I have. If you have an existing Gmail, that works great. You're probably going to need to associate something for this, just for this SiteKit one. So I'm going to quick check that one right away too and get that set up. Before I'm setting all this up, I just want to verify that I have security set up. If you go back into your Ionos menu, there's a domains and SSL thing. I set mine up, it kind of automatically set up, but you want to make sure you see this lock button. If not, it's going to give you a little link here saying activate wildcard security. You just click on it, select your site, click activate, it gets it up and running. But what that does is that it sets up the SSL. It's a security thing, so that when you go to a website, how you see the lock icon showing that it's a secured site, you're going to need that. All browsers basically require it now. Google requires it for you to be indexed on Google. So you want to make sure you have that turned on, and you can verify that yours is on when you see this green icon with the lock. I had an issue with mine. I actually had to call Ionos because it didn't properly register my domain. So when I called them, they just fixed everything. They saw it, they connected everything. It was all like a 5-minute phone call. It was all taken care of. So if you do run into any issues, that's a real quick fix for you. But again, I want to verify that's on there. So now that I know that this is secured, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to do my SiteKit setup. And that's another one that now that my site's up and running, I want to start showing up in Google. So I'm going to connect analytics and I'm going to sign in with Google. Now, this is going to be a little bit different for me because I don't have an existing account. So what I'm going to do is use another account and I'm going to hit create account. And I'm going to associate an email. See how old I am. It's very exciting for everyone. I'm going to use an existing email address. So everything will just be forwarded to this box. You probably noticed that like the address I'm using, what I like to do is I have a catch-all email address. So you can actually set this up with most email providers. But if you do start doing freelance work, if you have a catch-all address, you can actually create multiple free emails that all just funnel right back to you. But it's a nice way of kind of managing and having multiples. So let me jump into my email and get that code. Open in another browser. And there it is. punch that code in. There we go. And I'll create a password. That looks good. I'm going to agree to all their stuff. Now, the cool thing about SiteKit is it's going to create a couple different things. It's going to create a Google Analytics account. I'm going to need to let it access all the stuff that I control. Because I'm doing this with WordPress, it actually is really simple. I'm going to hit verify because I'm connecting through here. I'm going to turn the metrics on so I can see it. Search Console is great. Search Console is a kit for web developers, so it actually really helps with seeing who is accessing your site, how it's being accessed, and it helps with your Google ranking. So I'll set up Search Console right away. And Analytics is also kind of the thing that shows you who's accessing your site, how often, kind of monitors your traffic. Having all these set up is really, really helpful. The nice part about this too is that everything looks good. Enhanced tracking is fine. And that's the account I'm going to associate that I just created. So now that I've given it all this access, that's fine. Just going to hit yes to all these things because it's going to let Google get access to all these different pieces on my site. So cool part about this is once this is all done and up and running, it's actually going to show me on my homepage traffic, who's coming there, how they're finding me, all that kind of stuff. This is data sharing options. I'll do business insights, tech supports. I don't need recommendations. That looks good. So it's all set. I've agreed to everything. I've given Google access to everything in the back end. My analytics are set up. This is like a brand new site. I don't even think anyone's even gone to it other than me yet. So this isn't going to show anything, but it generally takes a couple of days for you to start getting information. But it's kind of cool what it shows you. Who's going to your pages, how people are finding it, how often they're getting it. You'll see how they're viewing it. So like organic search, what they're being seen on in terms of like mobile device, that kind of thing. So it's really helpful if you know that everyone's coming from desktop or mobile to kind of fine tune your design for that. Just some nice little tools that are kind of cooked into that. So if I jump over here, you can see like now that when you get your Malcare set up, it's going to say, yep, good news. They'll show you information as you get it. That's great. Google is notifying me of site kits. Search Console's active. Site kit got access. So all that different stuff, I got kind of confirmation emails, and you can expect to see all those as well. So now that we have all that stuff taken care of, I think that looks good. I know I need to do my mobile audit. We're going to touch on that in a second. But what I actually want to do first is I want to take a look at my contact page and how that's configured. So right now, I have my contact page set up. I'm going to play around kind of some of my colors and some of my backgrounds. I feel like maybe this is a little hard to read. I'm going to probably play with some like fading elements here, but I do have all this set up. I know I've got a phone number that I'm going to need to go to, and I know I have an email address that I'm going to deliver to everything. Now, right now, this is not configured in any way. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. We've got name, email, message, send message. That's pretty straightforward. Contact form, it's usually the basic one they give you. Now, if I go back into my dashboard, my forms are controlled from WP Forms. Here's my contact form. I can click on edit, and that's going to give me access. There's lots of different ways you can configure your contact forms. If you want to add in checkboxes or drop downs or anything like that, if you want to include like a CAPTCHA line, all that stuff is available. And it looks like I got to go through some setup stuff. So underneath my setup, I want to make sure that this is being delivered to the right place. So it's going to give me a basic form, which is I'm happy with. This is my fields. This is my settings. Send message sending looks good. I have anti-spam protection on. That looks good. I'm going to turn on modern. Let's see what that does. That looks good. I don't want to use a theme. I'm just going to use my baseline theme. Send to, this is the address that it needs to go to. So I'm going to send it to that. From fields, from email, all that stuff. This all looks good. I'm just going to leave it as default so that I can save it. And then confirmations, this is what it's going to look like when someone types like, thanks, we'll be in touch shortly, blah, blah, blah. That all looks good. That's basically what's going to happen when someone hits send. So I'm going to make sure I click save. The only thing I really did was I punched in my email address here, and I'm going to close this. Now, the other thing I need to do is I need to go into Elementor because I have a tool that I set up, and I want to make sure that it's installed, but I want to make sure it's configured. There's an email delivery tool. Let's see, where did they hide this guy? Settings. Okay, under settings, site mailer. That's what I want to check on. I need to connect this thing in order for it to start sending and monitoring the email. So now that I have it set to the email address, yep, we'll connect it. I want to switch the user. This is still set on an old client. There we go. I'll sign in with my email. Let's see, maybe I'll have to create an account then. There we go. Awesome. Connect it, continue. This will be free under, I think, like 1,000 emails a month. So I'm assuming that most of us aren't going to collect that many from our site, but there are kind of some things where like they bump you up to a paid if you get to a certain point, but you guys shouldn't have any issues with that. I haven't had actually any issues even with like client emails. Awesome. Now we can send emails. All right, looks good. So now that that's set, now this is set, I can actually jump back in here and I'm going to send a test. This is going to go to Mickey. There we go. So I'll send this and then I'll just reach out to the client and let them know that this is up and running. So there we go. It's giving me that confirmation email. And again, that was something that I can configure right in my settings. If I wanted to add fields, any of that other stuff, it all looks good. So now I've got my contact form configured and set up. Hopefully this will be delivered to the client. Just as a bit of warning on the first email send that you have, it is a little funky. It's slow. It takes like a half an hour for everything to kind of like clear out as far as settings go. But then it should be pretty much instant once you have an email sent from your site. You know, within 5-10 seconds, it should be delivered in your inbox. So this is all looking good. I'm happy with my overall layouts. All my functionalities in there. I have repeating elements. So I have this footer on everything as kind of a call to action. Got my little scroll back to top. My pages, I'm generally pretty happy with how everything looks. I used the existing template, and then I just used evenly sized images for all of this with kind of call to action stuff everywhere. Just changing out my headers, making sure my titles are there, including on every page a little title and blurb, and then the actual content of the page. So I've got all this set on pretty much everything, but one thing I noticed, and this was kind of course, like I built the whole thing in a kind of a sitting, and then I went back and then I went like, oh, let's take a look at the desktop version, or I'm sorry, the mobile version. And I definitely got some funkiness with it. I wasn't really happy with how some of it looked, so I needed to go back and change stuff. So let's do that. Let's take a look at our mobile version. Now, what I like to do is you can look at it this way. I don't always trust how it looks on this render. I like to look at it on my actual phone to kind of take a look at it. But what I can do is I can take a look at how I'm editing this thing right from Elementor. So I'm going to take this page. I'm going to go through the whole site one page at a time. And I'm going to click on this mobile portrait view. And I'm going to see kind of how this thing renders out. One thing I already fixed on this page was like this was gigantic, my text. So I had to go in and take my size and kind of shrink that down. It was a little too big. As I scroll through, this all looks good. For whatever reason, it's not showing this image, and I'm not sure why. This was kind of a funky one. I don't know why it's not rendering on there, but everything else was okay. The other thing I also noticed too is on this footer, when I built the footer, I replaced this image, but for some reason it didn't replace it on the mobile view. So I've already kind of played around with my homepage. I've kind of taken care of that one. Let's take a look at the rest of the pages on the site. So here is the page. That looks good. Here, mixed photo showing, so I'm happy with that. My consultation's good. Now, here's my scheduled consultation. Notice how there's no image back here. For some reason, in this box, it didn't render correctly, and this is the kind of funky stuff I'm looking for. I know that I'm using the same image as kind of that background, and I had some settings on it, so let me select that. And now it remembered that setting, but now it should render that properly. On mine, when I pulled open my version on my phone, it was actually showing the original theme version. So again, I got to change that. And annoyingly, I'm going to have to change it on every page, but I got to go through every page one at a time, make sure everything's kind of rendering out correctly anyways. So here's my services page, like how my imagery looks. It's actually flowing really nicely. Lots of calls to action, images, lots of kind of pieces along the way. It's not displaying this block, so I'm getting something funky with my flow on some of these that I'm going to need to investigate. And I know that this is an issue because, again, I know that that one's not appearing on all of them, so I'm going to go in and fix that guy right away. And I'll publish it. Now it's doing what I want it to do. Some of the images that don't render on mobile, I'm okay with. I don't necessarily need all of them. Save and leave. Must have not been done publishing. So here's that. I really like how this image renders here. That looks good. This is all good. I just got to fix that one element. So honestly, like this is just the mobile flow of everything. Generally looks pretty good. The only issue I kind of ran into so far was if I had funkiness with like image sizing, or just making sure that stuff fully appears on all your pages. If you want anything to hide, like say you did want an image to hide, you can select the image or the whatever the content is, and on the Advanced tab, there is a responsive pull down, and you can actually hide this on different versions. So that's where you can kind of change that. So if I wanted to hide this on there, it's going to show me that as it's a hidden kind of way of showing that to me. So that one looks good. Let's jump into my contact page. And again, there's no shortcut to this. It's really just a matter of going through every page of your site and then just seeing how everything renders. So here, I'm glad that from left to right, it's showing this piece first. It's got the contact form, the additional information. I might even add in a map box there. I'll show you guys how to do that in a second. Here to my schedule a consultation thing, I got to make sure I'm re-including that image. I think that's all the pages on the site. Home, about, yep, that's the fourth one. Now, let me go back in. As I'm kind of adding in all this different content, one of the other things you can kind of do is just it's a map. So like you can drag in a Google map. So say that I'm talking about the image or the address. Copy this. And then here it gives you a default on Google Maps of London for some reason. So then I can punch in an address. I can control the zoom level. I wanted to really show, because of the client's proximity to the capital and that being like a big part of their job, I wanted to make sure that that was included in there. I don't like how this office hours thing sits, but I am getting a little bit of funkiness with how I'm being allowed to add in other elements. And it's only putting it left and right. So I may have to kind of play around with my formatting on my boxes. For right now, I think this is probably okay. But as far as all that goes, if you do want to include that, that's a really easy one to do. And then again, anytime I add an element, I just want to see how this is going to look as I kind of scroll through the other versions. I think that looks fine. All right, so one of the things I noticed is on my actual preview, and I'm not seeing this, and this is kind of the fallacy of these sites, is how you're building them. Like right now, I'm kind of running into a little bit of, it's a little bit tough to read. So what I want to do is I'm going to go back in, I'm going to edit this page, and I want to take a look at that header. If you're going to use a transparent background, you don't have to. You can go into your customized settings and add color backgrounds to your headers. But because I'm doing that transparent background, what I'm going to need to do is take a look at my style here and how I've got my image. I'm going to need to do a background overlay. So I'm going to do a gradient. I'm going to set the first color to transparent. So do black to transparent, and I'm going to play around with my location. It's full. Let's see here. Let's turn this up and see. Okay. So let's set this one to blue just so I know. Okay, so the header is blue. So that's where the top of the image is. And then the bottom, We'll set this to black, but we'll turn the opacity down on it. So it kind of darkens as it goes down in a linear fashion. I can kind of control where that breaks. You can see how it's kind of sliding. So I just want that on the top a little bit, and I'm going to turn up the opacity just a little bit. So hopefully that helps with my kind of readability. I'm going to publish this, and obviously I want to look at it in real time. And that helped a little bit, but now I also am noticing that like maybe this is something that's an issue. So I'm gonna have to kind of play around with this. I don't know if I'm gonna maybe the correct answer here is rather than going black, maybe I just do it really light at the top. Let's publish that and see. And again, it's just kind of trial and error, but I want to just make sure that everything is kind of legible and this gets lost. So maybe I'm going to swap these colors out, and maybe I'll go like a darker color and I'll go light on all my headers for everything. So that's something I can kind of play around with. Obviously, I'm not going to make you guys watch me kind of walk through all that, but now this gives you a pretty good idea as far as when you're getting your site built, different things to think about. So now that you get your site kit kind of set up, getting your forms, I'm going to start seeing entries into my forms. I can start kind of configuring all this stuff. I'm going to have a site kits. I'm going to need to probably start taking a look at my all-in-one SEO. It's going to start showing me my site kit summary. So when I land, it's going to start showing me data about who's coming to the site and how it's all looking. So really, really good stuff here. The next time we meet, what we're going to take a look at is more finishing touch stuff, the SEO stuff, the security stuff, the backup, all of that. Really the kind of the things that really make your site look and feel like a finished piece, but also have the backend configuration to make sure they function correctly. So just kind of more for you guys to start looking at, putting together, configuring. And if you have questions, obviously reach out via email, and we'll have more time during the class sessions as well to answer all of those. So thank you guys. Appreciate it.